Welcome to this EstimatorXpress Getting Started video. In this section, we'll be using the drainage workbooks to estimate drain runs, a shallow access manhole, and the associated plant. Select the Drain Runs workbook and click Open Workbook. Click Add Worksheet to add a new worksheet to the workbook. Check the worksheet name and location, changing them if you need to. Then take a look at the dimensional templates. For my extension job, I need the Drain Run 600mm deep option. Once you've clicked on a dimensional template, click Confirm. The Dimension Wizard opens up, asking for the drainage details. There are two notes to read here. The first one explains that the depth of the dig isn't necessarily the same as the depth of the drain, as you can see from the diagram. The second one explains that you need to use the Drainage Plant workbook to estimate the plant for the drainage works. If we click Show Tech Tips and click into an input box, we can see an explanation of the dimension we need to enter. The width of the drainage excavation is set to 0.4 metres. I'm going to leave that as it is. The depth of the excavation is 0.8 metres. Again, I'm going to leave that as it is. Confirm the depth of the concrete protection, the pipe cover material, and the bedding material, changing any as required. For now, I'm going to leave those as they are. If you're happy with the drainage details, click Next. Here we have the length of the drain run. I only need a 2 metre drain run, so I'm going to change that to 2. If you're going to use the excavated spoil as backfill, enter Yes here. The bulking factor for the spoil is set to 1.5. Click Next. We now have options for the drainage fittings. I'm going to add 2 collars. Remember, you can press the Tab key to move between the input boxes. If you need any bends, you can type in the number required. Once you've finished adding any drainage fittings you need, click Finish. Now we can look down the Dimensions tab and see all of the dimensions we've just entered and reviewed. If we scroll down to the bottom, we can see that for the removal of spoil for the drains, a 20-ton tipper is currently being used. You can also see this from the Resources wizard. Click the Resources wizard button. Select Labour, Plant, Subcontract and Sundry from the drop-down box. Then click on the item called Removal of Spoil from Drains. You'll see in the Resource Used drop-down box that a 20-ton tip is being used. Click on the Resource Used drop-down box and select the 7 metre cubed skip instead. In the Edit Resource box, you need to check the usage factor. Click the calculator icon. As the name suggests, one skip will remove 7 cubic metres of spoil, so we can change this figure to 7. Once you've done that, click OK again, and the estimate's been updated accordingly. Review any other resources as necessary, and then click Finish. Now we need to add a shallow access manhole to the estimate. Click Close Workbook to return to the job summary. Then click Yes to confirm that the workbook is complete. Now click on the Shallow Access Manhole workbook and click Open Workbook. Alongside the 600 deep access chamber worksheet, set the number of groups of items to 1. This will estimate 1 shallow access manhole. Click 600 deep access chamber on the left-hand side to open the worksheet. If you want to change any dimensions, you can do so directly in the Dimensions tab, or you can click the Dimensions Wizard button. As with the drain runs, you can change the method of spoil removal if you need to. Click the Resources Wizard button. Select Labour, Plant, Subcontract and Sundry from the drop-down box. Click on Removal of Spoil from Manholes, and then click on the Resource Used drop-down box. Select the 7 cubic metre skip, and in the Edit Resource box, check the usage factor. Remember, one skip removes 7 cubic metres of spoil. Click OK, and then OK again to confirm the changes. Click Finish, and if you're happy with the dimensions, you can move on to the drainage plant. Click Close Workbook to return to the job summary again. And click Yes to confirm that the shallow access manhole is complete. Now click on the Drainage Plant workbook and click Open Workbook. Click Add Worksheet to add a new worksheet to the workbook. Check you're happy with the worksheet name and location, Then, as there's only one dimensional template, click Confirm to use the typical plant requirement dimensional template. We can now work through the dimensions wizard. There's only one page. All you need to do is enter the amount of time each tool or plant item is required for. I need the excavator for half a day. Enter that as 0.5. Now you may only need the excavator for half a day, but you'll already have the excavator on site from the foundations, so you're just extending the hire period or the running time if you own the excavator by half a day. Pressing the tab key to move through the input boxes. Time for the shovel, let's say 1 day. Time for the wheelbarrow, 1 day. Tabbing down to the next box. Let's say we need 1 day for the trench compactor. We don't need trench sheets or props, so we'll leave those set to 0. Let's say we'll only need the pipe cutter for a single day, so we'll leave that set to 1. We don't need any other sundry plants, so we'll leave that set to 0. And let's set the number of deliveries and collections of plant to 2. Once you've finished adjusting the time requirements for the plant, click Finish. Now all the calculations for the plant have been updated. If you want, you can change the resource being used to excavate the drains. At the moment, a JCB is being used. Go to the Resources wizard. The Resources wizard is blank. That's because there's no materials being used in this workbook. Select Labour, Plant, Subcontract and Sundry from the drop-down box at the bottom of the Resources wizard. The excavator for drains is already selected. In the Resource Use drop-down box we can see that a JCB excavator and driver is currently selected. Click on the drop-down box and select the mini digger and driver instead. Again, you need to review the usage factor. Click on the calculator button. The calculation for this is quite straightforward because we use 1 day of mini digger to do 1 day of digging. Click OK to confirm the usage factor and click OK again. Click Finish, and now the drainage plant is done. Click Close Workbook. Confirm that the drainage plant workbook is complete if it is. And that's all of the drainage elements estimated for my extension. Thank you for watching this EstimatorXpress video on estimating drainage.